Hello, and welcome to Friends of Terry Virgil, whereby we could talk about any subject out there, and we will definitely do that. There is one thing that has been brought to my attention, and it, believe it or not, has to do with the lack of freedom and liberty. My last episode, I talked about freedom and liberty, but I put it in a good Christmas story. Let me talk about what the problem really is today. It's called failure, not failure, but affirmative featuring fair housing rules. In other words, HUD. HUD came up with something many years ago, and believe it or not, this is absolutely a lot worse than Obamacare. And yet it comes from Obama, in a way, but it comes from the Democrats and the liberals. So this is what the Democrats and the liberals are saying about housing here in America. And this will apply to every community across the whole 50 states and every territory in the United States of America. It doesn't matter if you're rich, poor, whether you are white, black, purple, green, blue, male or female. It doesn't matter. This is going to affect each and every one of you, each and every community, and everything that comes along. According to what I could read, and I'm going to give you a website to go to, by the way, and you can go there and check everything out as my sources. This is going to start in 2016, way I understand, and people, I really truly believe that what is going through and what's going to happen is going to be a huge problem and a huge factor coming down the road. This program highlights yet another attempt by the federal government to become a larger part of every life, especially coming from the housing and urban and development. It is also firmly, it's also called HUD, H-U-D, if you would like to join me and look it up, and all the information I come up with you. This is one of the basic problems with their policy, and we could really come down to see this basic problem that they have, and I wish I could have people join me in a discussion on this to make a good topic to discuss. But this is how it affects your freedom and liberty. It looks at every neighborhood in America to determine the background, race, and in some cases even religion of those living in certain areas. This is what they're going to be looking at. They're going to look at, okay, you're a small town, very tiny town, you don't have this or you don't have this, you don't have a certain minorities here, you don't have a certain religious groups, and this is the part that they're going to be talking about here in the future. And we're going to go to it right now and talk deeply about it and go from there. According to the rules, social engineering. This is the part of could really get to you. Social. You notice the word social talks about communism or, in any case, socialism. It was done in the 1930s by Adolf Hitler, by the way. Of course, he rounded up all the Jews and put them in concentration camps. This is kind of the same idea as HUD's got. Free enterprise will be gone. Private property rights. Personal privacy. Background. Basis. Education. Sovereignty. And independence of or guaranteed rights, any guaranteed constitutional rights, protections are gone because of HUD has implemented this idea. Now, it looks like every neighborhood in America will be looked at. Like I said, it doesn't matter on small towns. this does violate, by the way, the constitutional U.S. Constitution Amendment 1, mainly, because it says here in all reality that in order to produce something that they want, and ethnic backgrounds and stuff like that, what they want to do is say everybody's got to live together. There is going to be rooms, and all housing will be government housing. Therefore, they're going to build houses in your neighborhood that state one thing. The stating is they're going to stack apartments atop of one another, just like they did it in the Soviet Union the days before the Cold War and during the Cold War. That's just it, and you're going to have to live there no matter what. And here's the other thing too, multi-families will have to live in the same room. Yes, you'll have to live in the same room as somebody else, and you might not get along with them. The idea is, too bad. It's going to be done this way, and you won't have any freedom or rights or privacy. Matter of fact, you won't have any privacy whatsoever. HUD is now saying that if one of their grants has been taken, communities have to accept the new rule. And they will tell local officials how things will be organized. It is not only about privacy values and what this means for private property owners, but also concerns about the top-down control of this rule and what this means in terms of what your local elected officials can and cannot do. In other words, HUD is saying to the local officials, we want you to do this, and you will do this. Your communities will do what they're saying. I live in a small community. I live in a rural area. I live in a nice, quiet neighborhood myself. But here's the thing of it is, they're going to say you can't live there any longer. And here's a website that I encourage everybody to go to. It is www.americanpolicy.org. That's where I got a lot of my information from. And let's read a little bit more. Obama order will destroy local communities. Obama wants this. He even applied it. If you remember correctly and you were listening to my radio blog, and I'm still going to blog, by the way. I will blog about this personally as well as soon as I'm probably done with this one episode. But Obama went to the UN asking, and it's under the Sustainable Development Agenda, by the way, the same policy. So if you go there, what they're saying is they want everybody to have fair housing and everybody to live in communities. What they're going to do is make not small communities, but what they're going to do is force people, such as me, for an example, because it's where I live, into what they call mega cities, big cities. We're going to be forced into doing that. And if you like your community that you live in, according to this, in 2016, you could say goodbye to it. That's what the liberals and Democrats are saying. And some of those Republicans that agree with the liberals and Democrats are saying this. The communist way of life is in America since 2008. Well, actually January 2009, but in 2008 you elected a dictator. And believe it or not, it was George W. Bush that gave light to this. And that'll be another episode, by the way, because we'll talk about this. I could talk about that in the Quran. I've done some research. And if you click on America on that website that I give you, you'll see all kinds of interesting things. And I can give you some information what to do. And you can still do something. You can email your United States Senator. You can call the U.S. Senator switchboard at 202-224-3121. Again, that's 202-224-3121. And absolutely talk to you, U.S. Senator, about this, because there are more things that can be done about these things. I've given you some insight in what's going on. Believe it or not, this is worse than Obamacare, and it's worse than anything that you have ever seen out there. Because here you have a gun stuck in your back, a gun stuck in your head by the federal government saying, for clean climate control, now you must go and move to the mega cities. Okay, let's talk about mega cities here in today's world. Let's go to Beijing, communist China. People live in these mega cities. They live in Beijing. They got a problem called pollution. Okay, I understand what they're coming about with clean climate control with Beijing. Of course, the Chinese are always doing something stupid like that, and that is a communist nation. All communists do dumb, stupid things like that. They take away your freedom and liberties. That's why we're talking about HUD today. HUD has absolutely said and partnered up with other mortgage companies. And I'm going to give you one example of a pathetic mortgage company called Champion Mortgage outside of Michigan, Lansing, Michigan. They also got some company in Texas and Seattle. What they're doing is buying up property, and what they've done with this thing called reverse mortgage idea is to say, okay, we'll help out, but then once the people pass away in the homes and stuff, all these homes will now belong to HUD, and HUD will destroy them all, and build what we call stack housing, so that people have to live in an apartment. Yes, you could rebel and not pay the rent. But guess what? You're still going to have to live there, because the government will not allow people to live on the streets. End of sentence. You'll be forced into forced labor. And if you're handicapped, just like I am, in a wheelchair, guess what? You still have to be forced to do forced labor in order to live in the housing unit. It's not free housing. I've heard Hillary Clinton refer to this as free housing. This is what Hillary Clinton says about it. It's called free housing. And Obama has even stated that this is free housing. Ketchup Man, which is the Secretary of State, John Kerry, by the way, and I will always refer him to Ketchup Man, which is a moron, an idiot, an imbecile, just like every liberal and Democrat are. But the thing of it is, now that you look at what happened when the agreement came with the 100 and some odd countries agreeing upon this, I think it's 190 some odd countries agreeing that the Sustainable Development Agenda will happen, and it's starting right now. This is what the federal government says, Merry Christmas, now you gotta move. We don't want you to live out in the country all by yourself. We want you to live in our maximum or mega cities in our government housing, so that we can keep an eye on you and also know exactly what you're doing